Rahil Sharif as the new army chief on November 29th indicated firstly that it was not Kayani, he is not Kayani's man. It was Nawaz Sharif's attempt to show that this was his own choice. It was just one day before Kayani's appointment that it was openly declared. Kayani perhaps would have preferred Lieutenant General Rashid Mahmood, whom he had placed as his Chief of General Staff and who was number 2 in the seniority list. Harun Aslam was overlooked and Rashid Mahmood was elevated to the largely ceremonial slot of Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee. Rahil Sharif had worked earlier with Lieutenant General retired Abdul Qadir Baloch, a member of the Nawaz Sharif cabinet, who is believed to have strongly recommended his case as an army general who would be docile enough and accept civilian leadership. But in the long run, I assess that Rahil Sharif would grow into the role of the army chief. The army chief's institution is a very powerful one in Pakistan, and a lot depends on what sort of consensus the collegiate leadership of generals, the corps commanders and the principal staff officers work out with the army chief as the leader. And he is likely to fall into the traditional pattern. Otherwise, he's having all the right credentials. He's a Punjabi. He belongs to the Kashmiri Biradari, which is the same Biradari as that of Nawaz Sharif, but he's no relative. His brother was a martyr in the Indo-Pak War in '71. So on Indo-Pak issues, he has the right credentials in the sense that the Pakistan Army would not like to be identified as being particularly soft-line on India. Rahil Sharif will be bringing in his own corps commanders and key functionaries. He has already made 2 important decisions, that of bringing in the DGMO as his new Chief of General Staff. This is an army consensus decision. And secondly, the significant easing out of the long-standing chairman of the Strategic Plans Directorate, Lieutenant General retired Khalid Kidwai, from this post. He has brought in a younger general, Lieutenant General Zubair Hayat, who is a serving general who was a corps commander in Bahawalpur. He is an artillery man. The Strategic Forces Command is also headed by an artillery officer, Lieutenant General Gilani, who is ironically senior to Zubair Hayat. So how the hierarchy or authority will work vis-a-vis the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, that is Rashid Mahmood, to whom the SPD is answerable, will be interesting to observe. But in the long run, I do not visualize that the Pakistan Army leadership's role vis-a-vis India will change substantially. There is talk of the greater internal threat and the new doctrine of the army having been worked on by Rahil Sharif, but that's not quite correct. The threat, internal threat is there, but India remains enemy number 1. So in the context of the Indo-Pak situation and the talk between the Directors General of Military Operations of the 2 armies on the LOC, so far the Pakistan Army has been in a state of denial regarding the involvement of non-state actors from the Pakistani side on incidents across the LOC. Whether they change their approach or not is a difficult question. I don't visualize that they will, but there may be some cosmetic efforts to diffuse the tensions. The only advantage that could accrue to the Indian side for the meetings between the DGMOs, which actually taken more than 2 months to fructify after the decisions between the 2 political leaders, that is the 2 prime ministers, which was agreed upon in New York, is if the process of meetings is allowed to survive as an institution and go downwards. if there are meetings also between brigade commanders or battalion commanders along difficult points across the LOC, then this might become a worthwhile process. But here again, the Pakistan Army has so far dragged its feet on military to military contacts, and we'll have to see whether this approach changes, whether the Pakistani intention to improve relations with India remains more than a cosmetic enterprise with the Pakistan Army.